Hey, and welcome to Equippers Church Sermon of the Week. My name is John Sparrow. I'm the lead pastor here at Equippers Church, and I'm so thrilled that you've chosen to tune in. This week we had a special guest speaker, and you got to know, as a church, we don't have random strangers stepping into our pulpit. We have friends whom we trust, and we believe carry a gift that adds value to us as a community. I believe the message you're about to hear will inspire you, encourage you, and equip you for life, no matter who you are or what you find yourself doing. If you'd like to find out more about our church and ways that you could partner with us, please visit equipperscc.com. God bless.
We have the privilege of hosting Pastor Steve Graham. Steve is the Bible College principal and lead teacher in Auckland, New Zealand, and he's been transformative for so many lives and has such a great message. And we have the privilege of actually having him this morning as well. Who's excited? Pastor Steve Graham. Guys, can we stand and welcome Pastor Steve Graham as he comes this morning?
Cool. Awesome. Is that going? How about grab a seat? It's great to be here. Cool. Hey, it was such a privilege being at Momentum Conference. Man, I don't know. I feel like I've been here a few times. I feel like this time I've fallen in love with your wonderful nation, fallen in love with this part of California, and fallen in love with this church. I mean, it's just like, yeah, please, can I come back sometime, Pastor John? It's like, this is an awesome place. And, was that a bad accent, was it? Awesome, something. And I think, I guess I love my stage of life of getting to, in a sense, do everything that I can to serve just awesome younger leaders. And I don't know where he's gone, but man, I just love Pastor John and Lene, and what incredible leaders. And man, just so excited to see what happens the next 15, 20 years in this place. And just, man, I would give my life to just serve the amazing things that God's going to do. I travel around a bit around the world and often have a sense of, you know, there's a redemptive gift in nations that God wants to kind of take and turn, and it taps into some deep well within them. So like the Danish just have this, Scandinavian have this whole thing with innovation and design and the ability to innovate and change it. And so the church taps into that, and it's been in Switzerland recently, again, kind of innovation, but just precise and dutiful and loyal and diligent, and kind of there's a whole thing there. And I shared yesterday at Momentum, just driving last night, and just felt some of the pain of some of the political tension and stuff, and just felt this word from God, like, the glory of, I can't even remember the words now that I said, the glory of the nation is the church. And I mean, you guys are so proud of a great nation and a great state and a great city, and just to tap it, you guys are wired for greatness. And the greatness is the glory of God. And so I'm so excited what God's going to unleash through you and around this coast of a people who the deep wellspring of their heart is to champion the cause of something great. And the greatest thing on the earth is the glory of God through the house of God. So, man, you guys I can feel God's anointing. You guys have an incredible destiny, incredible future, and it's such a privilege to partner in any way I can with incredible leaders doing this thing. So thank you so much, Pastor John, for the invitation. It's great to be here. I want to talk this morning. My little tap's not working. Oh, how did we do that? Go back to the picture. I don't know if it's not working. I'll just have to go next or something. Can we go? There we go. I want to talk about the theme of joy and celebration, because I feel like it's in the spirit, it's one of the things that we need to kind of establish as almost the hedge around our church and around our lives. And shall I see if it's going to work? It's not going to work. So can you do the next one? Go back to the photo. Just a bit of an introduction. This is my family. I feel like I look like the Italian mafia boss there, but that's my son's wedding last year, and I just suddenly thought, and she's American, she's from California, so going to have California grandkids. That's my wife next to her and my two daughters and granddaughter. So so I just thought, oh man, I'm going to have California blonde little grandkids, so that's cool. But the theme of joy, flick out the next one. Next one. I think we seriously underestimate the place of joy and celebration in the Christian life. And so even like for Paul, talks about the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. We talk about, we understand God's call for love in our heart. We understand he wants to bring peace in our heart. But between those, there's the theme of joy. Like joy is a mark of the Christian life, right up there with love and peace. And so I want to, in a sense, dial up, like, I think this is more important than we realize. I think God it's more significant to our breakthrough than we realize. I think it's more significant to the environment of the church than we realize. We're not just having happy, clappy songs and jumping around and praising because we feel like it. No, this is part of the environment that we're intentional about. This is part of our access to heaven, that we're accessing something of heaven. That's definitely not, it is going to work? Oh, it's not changing on this one. Maybe I can give this to someone to sort out. So if we go back, go back to the fruit of the Spirit. Okay, and then next one. So even Paul again in Romans. Next one. Next one. The fruit, the kingdom of God is not a matter of eating and drinking, but of righteousness, peace, and joy. Again, we understand there's a gift of righteousness through Christ. We understand the place of peace, but joy. So it's these significant things in the Apostle Paul's mind. No, joy is a mark of Christian life. Joy is a mark of the church. Like, this is really important. Click up, next one. I've got to get my little thing on. So when Jesus talked about, I've talked about this here before, I think, when Jesus talked about parables of the kingdom, how we think about this, one of his dominant images is of a wedding banquet. The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. How should I think about church? How should this thing feel like? It should feel like we are hosting the wedding banquet for the son of a king. Like, how would that feel? There would just be massive joy, massive celebration, abundance. It would be party central kind of, because you want to host something that's worthy of the son of a king. Like, this is an image that he picks up a number of times. So next one, not a wedding banquet, but a certain man was preparing a great banquet and invited many guests. Like, church is supposed to feel like the biggest party around. That we're celebrating and that we're just living in great joy. Next one. And this is a theme that's gone right throughout Scripture, right back in the Old Testament, an image of salvation. On this mountain, the Lord Almighty will prepare a feast of rich food, a banquet of aged wine. And then it unpacks some other metaphors. He'll destroy the shroud, swallow up death. But it's like, how should I think about church? How should I think about Christian life? It's a party. It's a banquet. It's a wedding celebration. How should church feel like? It should feel like the biggest party in town and the greatest fun. And I have a feeling people in California like to have fun and celebrate. It's like, we can have a great party in this place. And we're tapping into something of heaven. Next one, it's a theme that goes right throughout Scripture. The picture right at the end. Let us rejoice and be glad and give him glory, for the wedding of the Lamb has come. Everything is heading towards the biggest wedding banquet of all time. The wedding reception of the Lamb of God. And we're going to be the bride. It's like, man, this is party central. And then this is what we're about. Next one. Richard Foster writes a lot of books about Christian life, Christian discipline. Says this: celebration is at the heart of the way of Christ. Like, this is really central. This is not just on the margin. This is not peripheral. This is at the heart of what it means to be a follower of Jesus. That I choose to tap into celebration. That I choose to make this part of my life. Next one. He goes on to talk about why is this? Well, Jesus entered the world on a high note of celebration, jubilation. The quote from Luke 2, I bring you good news of great joy. And that's the foundational announcement of the gospel. What is the gospel about? An announcement of joy. Like the angels are going, hey, listen, world, it's party time, because the Messiah's just come. This is important for us. I'm from New Zealand. It's a lot younger nation than yours. But next one. We just recently celebrated 200 years from when the gospel arrived in New Zealand on Christmas Day. It's a beautiful story. English missionary gathered these Māori people around. Next one, at this lovely bay, and on Christmas Day, 1814. So next one, and his text was this, because the Anglican kind of, You have pick a verse from the Bible. Behold, I bring you glad tidings of great joy. For me, that's really cool. The first ever Christian message on our land was this. Guys, I've got a message of great joy. And we need to recover that. We've got a message of joy for our world. We've got a message of joy for this nation. We've got a message of joy. We're not here to announce doom and gloom and heaviness and judgment. We're here to say, hey, we got some great news for you, and you're invited to a big party at our place because we're celebrating. Next one, I was talking about this in Europe a few months ago, and I thought I should get a quote from context there. It's 500 years since the Reformation. If you know that, Martin Luther was a key person there. He doesn't look very happy. No. He looks a bit stern. Maybe his beer's run out or something. But he says this. He says this. Despite the look on the face, it's like, if you're happy, tell your face. But this is what he believed. This is what he believed. The heart overflows with gladness and leaps and dances for the joy it has found in God. I love this. In this experience, the Holy Spirit is active. In this experience of joy, and has taught us in the flash of a moment the deep secret of joy. How about this? You will have as much joy and laughter in life as you have faith in God. For him, it's a mark of the Christian life that somehow you have accessed something in God that touches into a realm of celebration and joy beyond what you imagine. And I believe that God wants us to be a church that just has an access to this realm of celebration and joy, because that will unleash breakthrough in our world. Pastor Pat, just standing next to you, I just feel like, man, you have access to that realm that just taps into the joy and the celebration of the Father heart of God, and then we unleash that in our world in breakthrough. Next one, people often, some of you may have heard this before, but we often like, oh, well, we live in the New Testament, all is about, grace, and that's wonderful. In the Old Testament, they lived under the law. That was heavy and hard. Let me show you the place of celebration living under the law. So this, 3 times a year, this is a requirement. You are to celebrate a national festival. This was the law. 3 times a year, you're commanded to have a massive national party. So next one, and so they celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread, celebrate the Feast of Harvest, celebrate the Feast of Ingathering. And literally, you had to stop what you're doing, walk to Jerusalem and have a party, and then go home again. This is living under the law, required to have compulsory party time 3 times. Imagine the disruption to your business. All your workers, every 3 times a year, sorry, we're off for 2 weeks. Where are you going? I'm going to walk to Jerusalem to have a party. I'll be back in a few weeks. It's the law. Such a burden living under the law. And next one. And they and it required to eat. You had to eat lots at the party. No salads in sight. No. Yeah. And it was required down the bottom. And you are to rejoice. So hard living under the law. I have to have a party. I have to eat. I have to celebrate. What a burden. And next one. And one of them was for 7 days. I don't know if you ever have neighbors and they have their stereo music going and it gets to 9:30 and you're like, I hope that's going to be turned off soon. 10 o'clock. I'm not very happy. Imagine a party that goes for 7 days. That would drive you nuts. 7 days of party. I don't really feel like it's the law. We have to. Turn the music down. No, it's the law. We got a party for 7 days. And then, and verse 40, and don't sit there down the back on your cell phone. It's no, be joyful. Join in. Celebrate. Have fun. This is a requirement of living under the law. You've got to have fun. And next one, he, 7 days, and if you do it for 7 days down the bottom, and your joy will be complete. This was it wasn't God needed it. He's no, you need this. The Sabbath is not, I can't get it around the right way. This was not because God needed it. God put this in place because he knew that they needed it to find complete joy regularly, consistently. Otherwise, life just gets into too much of a grind. God's like, I want to create moments. Imagine that, where your joy is complete. You are totally just enthusiastic, positive, happy, rejoicing in life. Man, who would like to tap into that a few times? For some of us, it's like, it's been a while since I got moderately happy with life. But for my joy to be complete. Next one, and he's like, I don't want you going into this. Is it half-baked? Is that a phrase? Yeah. So the first day is a day of rest. I don't want you arriving tired. I want you got to rest up so you're ready to party. And then I don't want you dialing it back at the end because you think, well, I got to go to work tomorrow. So you got to have you got to have a day of rest at the end. Because in the middle of it, you got to give everything you've got to celebration. I don't want any tired people here. You got to rejoice and say, like, this is the law. This is serious business celebrating. And then the next one, and he's like, live in temporary shelters. I don't want you fitting this in. Oh, well, I just got to pop out and check a bit of work. I just got to flick off a few emails. No, disrupt your normal routine of life to give yourself completely to celebration for 7 days. Break up the routine and learn how to inject total celebration into your world. It was hard work under the law. And beyond that, next one, and they had to allocate one of the original uses of tithes. They had to allocate 1/10 of their annual budget for the food and drink budget for the parties. Like, how could you spend that much money on a party? Well, it's the law. I'm required to. We just don't pick the cheap, pick the expensive wine and the expensive cuts of meat. Like, that's a law. We got to use up all this money on the party. It's like, oh my goodness. And next one. And here's there's twice in the Bible it has an account of this. So 2 Chronicles, it talks about they celebrated with great rejoicing for 7 days. So they'd met the requirement. And then this is what happened. Next one. The assembly then agreed to celebrate the festival 7 more days. Like a 14-day party. You don't want those kind of people as your neighbors. Yeah, and Hezekiah provided 1,000 bulls, 7,000 sheep and goats. And then the officials provided the equivalent. It's like, this is the biggest barbecue bonfire ever. It's like, that was so good, let's just do it all again. I'm like, yes. This is living under the law. And so next one, and they get to the end of it, and verse 26, there was great joy in Jerusalem, for since the days of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, there had been nothing like this. That's approximately 250 years. Like, we just had the best party in 250 years. Like, whoa, that's something to be proud of. It goes down in Bible history. They just pulled off the best party in 250 years. But then actually there's another incident. If you go on the next one, there's a verse that you might know, the joy of the Lord is your strength. We say it very piously, so we should dance around. No, look at it in context. It's from the time of Nehemiah. If you go to the next one. So they gather around, they read the law, they start weeping out of such conviction that they'd be disobedient. And then Ezra and the priest run on, no, don't stop. No, this is not appropriate. This is not what you do. And he's like, this day is holy to the Lord. Do not mourn or weep. Interesting, our concept of holiness is often associated with reverence and all. They're like, no, that is not what you do on holy days from which we get. You celebrate, you party, you eat and drink, you have fun. It's like we need to shift our concept of God. Our God is a God of celebration. Our God is a God of, when he says he's a God of order, it means he puts in sequences of celebration and party. And so the next one, so he says, go and enjoy choice food and sweet drinks and send some to those who have nothing. This day is holy. It's like, but there's a time to fast, but there is equally a time to be as diligent, as purposeful, as extravagant in partying hard as there is in fasting hard. And the reason he gives us this in the context, do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Come on, I need to choose to celebrate. I need to choose to party because that gives me the strength. The joy that comes from that gives me the strength to carry on and do life. And God's like, unless you do this, you're not ready to handle just the challenges of everyday life. We need to be as intentional about. The point is, you don't wait till you feel happy to celebrate. You're intentional about celebrating. It's a spiritual discipline that adds strength to your life because the joy of the Lord is my strength. I can't afford to lose the joy because if I lose the joy, I lose the strength. So I've got to be intentional about doing the things that bring joy back into my world because otherwise I'll lose my strength. And so next one. So they next one. So they went away and they did all that. They got food. They celebrated with great joy. This, because they now understood the words. Oh, I get it now. I get it that we need to celebrate. I get it why this is part of the law. I get it that why God would require this of us. Because he's for us. And he knows what we need. And he knows that we need to celebrate. And then, next one. So they built those temporary shelters. This. From the days of Joshua, son of Nun, until that day, the Israelites had not celebrated it like this. Okay, so the first one was about 250 years. They're like, this is the best party in 1,000 years. That's what it says. This was the best party in 1,000 years. That's a big achievement. And their joy was very great. Like, this goes down in history. We just had the best party in 1,000 years. I think, something should have rubbed out. I was like, we're going to do this. I'm decided I want to live under the law a bit more because I like this. Party time, money for parties, celebrating, big bonfires and barbecues. It's like, oh my goodness, this, and if you flick up the next one, when you read, again, the worship and the Psalms is often associated with this. I'm just flicking you a whole lot to go, man, this is so this is Old Testament worship. May your faithful people sing for joy. Next one, just race through some of them. Again, her faithful people will ever sing for joy. Next one, shouts of joy and victory. Next one, rejoicing, shouts of joy. Next one, shout for joy, gladness, joyful songs, thanksgiving, praise, thanks, praise. Next one, shouts of joy, jubilant, shouts of joy, clapping their hands, singing together for joy, rejoicing and celebrating. Hey, here's another translation. Blessed are the people who know the joyful sound, who have learned the place of celebration. This is people living under the law. They don't even have the gospel yet. They don't even have the Holy Spirit. And they've learned the place of celebration and joy. Next one. And the reason you show me the path of life, in your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand there are pleasures. When I access God, I access a realm of joy and pleasure. That's what the Bible says. And I need to tap into that precisely because my world is not always full of joy and pleasure. I've got to access heaven and I've got to bring something of heaven to earth. This is not happy, clappy Christianity, let's pretend everything's sweet. No, this is real Christianity that says precisely because everything is not sweet, precisely because we live in a broken world and we struggle, I can't afford not to access heaven. I can't afford not to touch that realm of pleasure and joy and celebration and bring some of that down into this world because it's going to shift something in my world. Next one, interesting, going into Proverbs about wise living. This is kind of counterintuitive. All the days of the oppressed are wretched. The cheerful heart has a continual feast. You'd expect it to be around the other way. If I had a continual feast, I'd be cheerful. He's like, no. Choose to access a source of joy and you will have a continual feast. Don't wait for your circumstances to generate happiness. Access joy and that will shift your perspective on your circumstances. It reinforces again a common verse we know, but if you think about it, again, counterintuitive, a cheerful heart is a good medicine. It's like, no, if I'm sick, give me the medicine and then I'll feel better. It's like, no, find the joy and that will be the medicine that will make you change. Like that, it's like I need to access a realm of joy and celebration. I have to be able to touch that dimension. I can't do life just in the grind. I've got to access this. Next one. And so, I mentioned this yesterday at the conference. One of my favorite chapters, Luke 15, is actually, which is the parables of the lost, is actually the main theme is celebration. Okay, I'll show you. This is the context. The tax collectors and sinners are gathering around Jesus. The Pharisees muttering, the man welcomes sinners and eats. They're gathering, they're being welcomed, and they're eating. And religious people hate it. Religious spirit hate you having life and joy. No, just be miserable. That's honoring God. That's reverence. What a lot of claptrap. That's no. A holy day is a place for celebration and joy. The presence of Jesus is a place of gathering and welcome and fun and eating and breakthrough and that kind of thing. And so the parables he teaches, next one, he's like, the common language, when he finds the lost sheep, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders. He calls his friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me. There's something instinctive about faith that says we've got to gather together and have a party. On the first morning of the first day of the week, the most appropriate thing is celebrate and dance and rejoice and have fun, because we're going to live in that realm. I'm going to access that and carry that into my week. I'm going to have a whole lot of challenges this week, but I've got to start my week by accessing that. And then he says the reason why is because, come on, there's rejoicing in heaven. And then the second parable, next one's the same. She calls the woman with the lost coin. She calls her friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me. And again, next one. Why? Because there's rejoicing there. What's heaven like? It's a place of rejoicing. Come on, change your mindset. It's not quiet, reverence. It's a place of joy and celebration. And so then the parable of the prodigal, next one, the father says, let's have a feast and celebrate. God is always calling for a celebration. God is calling for a party. God is looking for his kids to gather together and celebrate. It's time to announce, come on, come and join the party. Come and celebrate. Because we have access to heaven. And heaven is a place of celebration. And so they began to celebrate. I mentioned this, the older son is in the field. When he came near the house, he heard the sound of music and dancing. It's great that there's speakers outside the Clark Centre booming out praise. That's the sound of the house of God. What's going on in there? That's church. We're having church with barbecues and bonfires and music and dancing and celebration, because we're accessing heaven. We're drawing down something of heaven into our world. Next one. And so, he's like, again, we had to celebrate. Oh, it's hard being a Christian. Why? Oh, God puts all these expectations on you. You've got to use your money to buy food and drink, and you've got to have parties, and you've got to celebrate, and you've got to dance. Man, he's a tough God. Yeah. Next one. And so it's not surprising, this is quick through the Bible, that so much in the New Testament, the letters are like, come on, guys, this is important. So Paul, come on, rejoice always. Next one. And similarly, finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice. It's like, this is important. This is more important than you think. I need to find a way to do this, because it's important for me. Next one, rejoice in the Lord always. I'll say it again, rejoice. These are not silly little children's songs. This is Paul going, church, this is really important for your well-being, for your strength, that you learn how to rejoice. Next one, and you go, well, what if I don't feel like it? And Paul's like that, through glory and honor, bad report, good report, genuine, blah, blah, down to verse 10. Sorrowful yet always rejoicing. What a strange concept. I'm sorrowful because I live in a broken world. I'm always going to be carrying some area of my life that I'm sad about. It's just real. There are challenges. And yet I choose to access another dimension, and I'm choosing to try and drag more and more of that into this world, because I want to see heaven come to earth. And Jesus told me heaven is a place of joy and celebration. So devil, I'm gonna keep. I'm true. I'm real about my sorrow. I'm real about the things I'm hurt and disappointed about. But devil, that's not the final answer. Heaven is coming to earth. Joy is going to overcome sorrow. Light is going to overcome darkness. I'm going to access heaven and see something of that joy and celebration come here. Like, I can't afford not to have this. And so this is this weird thing. You know, I love this. Yeah, next one. How about this? Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. That about sums it up, eh? There's stuff in my life I just got to hang on in there. I got to keep praying, but I'm going to access joy because I believe there's more coming. And so you have these weird concepts. Keep going. You know, in the midst of severe suffering with the joy, these weird things go together. Severe suffering with joy. Next one, similar. In the midst of a very severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty. How does that all work? Because we accessed heaven. I wasn't waiting for my circumstances to change to celebrate. It was a supernatural thing. And next one. And this is an incident, a well-known story of how this works. And this is why I believe it's so important. That we're not going, well, when my circumstances change, then I'll be happy and then I'll celebrate. No, I can't afford to wait for that. And the context is this story. Maybe I can get the keyboardist to come up. If you know the story, the crowds joined in the attack against Paul and Silas. The magistrates ordered them to be stripped and beaten with rods. I don't know, for me, like thin bits of wood aren't called rods that have a bit of flex. Rod implies something that doesn't bend when it hits you, to me. Like, this sounds pretty serious. Not just beat them with sticks, beat them with rods. They don't flex or bend. They just hurt you. And this, after they had been severely flogged, not just flogged, severely flogged. I don't even know what that means, but severely flogged and beaten with rods and stripped, thrown into prison, and the jailer was commanded to guard them carefully. When he received these orders, he put them in the inner cell. So this is no windows, dark, damp. I've been beaten with rods. I've been flogged, which means cut open. I'm in a damp. This is not a good place. Things are not going to go well with open wounds in a dark, damp cell. And I've been beaten. Like, this is seriously not a good thing to be in. And their feet are in stocks. And it just says about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns. And, I don't imagine in the dark, Paul calls out, Silas, mate, I feel a song coming on. Join with me. Like, he's beaten. I bet it's like, Silas, we're in trouble. This is not good. We could die in here. Silas, we are going to have to access heaven in this moment. We can't afford to just wait. Come on, Silas, we know how to do this. We need to start connecting in praise. We need to connect in worship. We need to connect with God. Because I suspect he's going, because our life depends on it. You know, and the other prisoners were listening. Suddenly, there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. And at once the prison doors fell open and chains came loose. I believe we need to access heaven because it brings a breakthrough anointing into our world. I'm not celebrating because some of my kids aren't following Jesus. I'm not celebrating because of financial challenge. I'm celebrating because I want to touch heaven and see a breakthrough come into that part of my world. I want to see something shift in my world. So I choose to celebrate because I'm resonating with heaven. And when I do that, something has to shift in my world. You know, and the amazing thing, if you know the story, go on. You know, the jailer woke up, he's panicking, he's going to kill himself. Paul's like, don't harm yourself, we're here. So next one, so they rush in, they ask what to do to be saved. Next one, they believe in Jesus. Then they go and wash their wounds, and then they get baptized. Next one, they have a meal. And but this is the conclusion. The jailer brought them into his house, set a meal before, and he was filled with joy. Because Paul and Silas chose to access the joy of heaven, it not only shifted their world, it shifted the worlds of those around them. And they discovered joy. And they found breakthrough. And they found salvation. Can I invite you to stand? I've got a whole lot more, but we're running out of time. can stand. Again, I don't know how you connect with God. Thanks, guys. But maybe it's close your eyes, raise a hand or two. Can I tell you that there are assemblies of joyful angels all around this church? And if I will choose to access that realm, I'm going to unleash something of heaven that's going to break through. It's going to shift things that can't be shifted. Chains are going to fall off. Prison doors are going to open. Salvation is going to come to people. Reconciliation is going to come in my world. I celebrate and joy, not because everything's fine, precisely because everything's not fine, but I'm determined that God is a God of breakthrough, that there's an order to this. If I will choose to celebrate, if I'll access heaven, heaven will break through into my world and something's going to shift. And so I feel like there's a presence of God of celebration. I don't know if we can sing a song, but for a minute, I want you to start aligning yourself, to start accessing that realm, to start resonating with the celebration of heaven. Because I want to see that shift in my family. I want to see that shift in my city, in my town. Come on, just for a minute, let's celebrate. Let's worship God.
Well, I pray that you are feeling encouraged, inspired, and equipped to take on whatever you may be facing in this life. And hey, why don't you consider joining us? We meet every Sunday at the Clark Center in Arroyo Grande at 10 a.m., and it's always a good time. We'd love to have you with us. And for any more information, ways you can partner with us, please visit equipperscc.com. God bless.